Well, it's finally ended. The Boys, with some of the highest highs and the lowest lows, has officially ended. As the dust settles on season 5, the fandom is completely fractured. One side is comparing the final season to the end of Game of Thrones, the other is kind of satisfied. The ending itself has people even more divided, with the rushing of Homelander's arc and the disappointment that was the V1. The fan base is almost as split as Star Wars at this point, which is saying a lot. So today we're gonna take a deep dive. see what I did there? Anyway, we're gonna take a deep dive into season 5 of The Boys and see if Eric Kripke really stuck the landing, or if he really just forgot what made the show great in the first place. First, we need to talk about Starlight. I want to start off on a good note before I start complaining and whining. Starlight has been one of my least favorite characters since like season 3, and I think it's because she became so cynical and depressed. Now, I kind of have realized that's kind of the point of her arc, that she was supposed to end up like Queen Maeve, but I don't know, I just don't think she pulled it off as good as Queen Maeve did. She just came across as whiny and annoying, and I know I said I wanted to get into a non-complaining part, so I kind of went off the rails here, but near the end of the final season, Starlight eventually started to have hope again, and it was honestly kind of a breath of fresh air to see this. Maybe I just didn't understand the character before the finale, but now I realize what the writers were cooking up basically the entire time. And I see the complaint with the Deep fight, that it actually makes no sense for her to bring the Deep to the ocean. But hear me out, okay? People forget that she was trying to talk the Deep down during their fight. She wanted to give him the chance to leave all this behind and go live with his fish friends, which was surprising to me considering what he did to her. But I genuinely loved the scene because, well, the Deep's my favorite character. But anyway, it just completed both characters' arcs in a really satisfying way, in my opinion. But now I gotta talk about my favorite character. My favorite character in the whole show, the Deep. The Deep is the greatest character of all time. There's no debate. It's been settled. Yes, I am going to spend the next like 5 minutes glazing Peak, and that you're just gonna have to deal with it, okay? I know he's controversial. I know like half of you hate him, but bear with me here. His failed redemption arc was fantastic. Originally, I kept watching this show because I was hoping that he'd redeem himself at some point. Like in season 2 when he got banished from the, I think it was season 2. But in season 2 when he got banished from the Seven, is like that part of the show was easily the best in the entire show. I'm not gonna lie, it's been decided. Watching him come to accept his gills and join a cult was like 10 out of 10 storytelling masterpiece. But eventually he joined back up with the Seven, and this is when it all went downhill for him. He craved Homelander's approval so much he began betraying his fish friends, and it was honestly just really sad to watch, and it ended up being his downfall. He continued to do horrible things until he was eventually banned from the ocean, and he was basically irredeemable at this point. But there was one chance, one last chance for the Deep to right his wrongs and leave all this behind him. Starlight was offering forgiveness, and all he needed to do was take responsibility for his actions. And he couldn't do it. This dude literally screamed no at the thought of responsibility. So Starlight threw him in the ocean, and that's when he was killed by his former friends. The octopus went right up his booty hole and through his mouth with a little tentacle. His arc was genuinely perfect, and I believe it's the greatest part of this entire show. But now we gotta talk about the main character. I'm gonna go right out and say it. I love Billy Butcher's ending. Billy was definitely not the type of guy to get a happy ending. Like, he was not a very good person after all. But in a weird way, he got exactly what he wanted in the end. He killed Homelander and finally got his revenge. But the thing about him is that he was lacking in purpose after he killed him. Ryan didn't want to go live with him, and Terror died literally after Homelander so we could go hump him in the afterlife. So Billy didn't really have anything except for that pesky virus. So in a way, they adapted the comic ending, and Huey killed Butcher in the end. Butcher decided last second not to release the virus though, and Huey shot him in the chest. Or it was in the stomach, I can't remember. But I just thought it was the perfect ending for Butcher. Was it a little bit rushed? Yeah. But they kind of had to cram a lot in the last episode because they really just screwed up the entire rest of the season, like bad. And I've seen people mad because Butcher didn't become the final evil villain at the end and kill most of the boys. And in my personal opinion, that would have been so out of character for this version of Butcher. Comic Butcher is just evil. This Butcher is not. He obviously cared about the boys, and when Frenchie died, I saw the look on his face, and I knew the story would not go in that direction. And think about the final scene between Huey and Butcher. In the comics, Butcher convinces Huey that he killed his parents, so Huey stabs him in the chest. Compared to the ending we got in the finale, it makes the comic ending look stupid in comparison. Like, it's so much more emotional, and I don't know, it was just so much better than I thought it would have been. So yeah, I think Butcher got the perfect ending, and the happiest ending someone like him could possibly get. Now, there's another character I want to talk about that definitely did not get the ending he deserves. Soldier Boy. This season completely destroyed Soldier Boy's character. In a way, at least. His whole... Yeah, now we're getting into me complaining, okay? Just fair warning. His whole arc was centered around Stormfront for some reason. Actually, not some reason. There's a very well-known reason. There's a spin-off coming out very soon called Vought Rising, and this season was kind of just a big advertisement for that. I swear, every time they brought up Stormfront, I wanted to die, and she was literally one of my favorite characters in Season 2. In Season 3, Soldier Boy was obviously in love with Crimson Countess. Like, Stormfront came completely out of nowhere. So yeah, he was basically just a walking advertisement, and nothing has made me not want to watch a show in my entire life. And yeah, we need to talk about Soldier Boy's actual ending, because his ending for the entire show was him getting stuck on ice again because he was leaving Homelander. Like, this just genuinely baffled me. Like, they set up the entire show around him taking away Homelander's powers. So I don't know. Maybe it's just what Clara would have wanted. Who knows? Alright, now we gotta talk about the rest of the boys. Now, I will admit I have mixed feelings about how the rest of the boys ended up. On one hand, I do appreciate the happy ending. I'll admit, I'm a sucker for happy endings. But this show could have had a generational ending. By far, the most hyped episode in the show's history was the female, the Frenchman, and the man named Mother's Milk. And it was the most disappointing thing I've witnessed in my entire life. So Homelander had just gotten the V1. Butcher is even freaked out and he tells everyone to run. So we're set up for a peak episode, right? All right. Well, what do you think would happen? What do you think should happen? Think like, oh, maybe the episode should center around them trying to escape. Then the finale could be Butcher being all mad and getting revenge and stuff, you know what I mean? But no. Somehow the boys escape off screen and everyone is fine. I feel like there should have been multiple deaths this episode, and Homelander should have finally just lost it. But all Butcher's friends were dead, It'd honestly make him wanting to release the virus make way more sense, even though I still enjoyed that part of the story. Instead, all we got was Kamiko poisoning herself so the writers could have a cop out so they would have a way to beat Homelander. And yeah, Frenchie did die that episode and all that, but I feel like the boys should have definitely had a darker final 2 episodes for the main characters, at least. That's just my opinion. Alright, now we've come to the most controversial part of the entire season and finale by far. I'm just gonna say it right now. We all know this. Homelander should have actually went scorched earth. He should have finally snapped and went around killing everybody like we spent 5 seasons building towards. Like, genuinely, the fan film things of Homelander being some kind of horror figure is what we should have gotten. But now that we got that out of the way, we can finally talk about Homelander's actual ending. And I'll be honest, I don't really hate it. Okay. Now, instead of Kamiko, it should have been Soldier Boy or something. But I think the final fight was fine. Homelander being depowered was what I was waiting 5 seasons to see, and it didn't disappoint. Now, some say this was straight up character assassination, but I don't really think that's true. Homelander is definitely the type to beg like he did. I mean, I was definitely caught off guard with exactly what he said. Like, it was graphic. But he's always been a coward, and he's basically a kid, man-child. And I feel like that's one of the things people don't understand about his character. But yeah, I think Homelander got what he deserved, and I honestly felt kind of bad for him. But okay, now we gotta talk about the elephant in the room. We have to talk about the famous twist of Black Noir being Homelander's clone and all that good stuff. Well, questionable stuff. Now for this, for some reason, I've seen people saying that this ending was way better than the TV shows. And I could not disagree more. If Black Noir ended up being his clone, then it'd take a lot of the responsibility off of Homelander. And I feel like it'd make him an infinitely worse character because of it. Now, I do believe they should have brought the original Black Noir back. Maybe he could have had his rematch with Soldier Boy, finally. Because Homelander killing him in Season 3 was by far, easily, my least favorite part of the entire show. Like, why? Why did they do that? But, anywho, yeah, the comic has a way worse ending than what we got. The only thing I wish we would have gotten was the iconic scene of Butcher walking towards the White House with all the soups overhead. That would have been sick, I won't lie. And Homelander actually going scorched earth, that would have been awesome. I'm just saying. So yeah, well, the final season of The Boys was definitely not the best thing in the world, like, at all. I definitely don't think it was as bad as everyone has been saying. I, however, was disappointed, and I think everybody has a right to be angry with it. I also saw somewhere that Eric Kripke said it's supposed to be a parody of bad endings, and if it's true, that has to be the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Just saying, Eric. Anyway, that's all I really have to say. Sorry this video got out late, because, like, I'm horrible at sticking to a schedule. It's the worst thing in the world for me. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and like and subscribe, and I'll see you next video.